Welcome back to the Dhane and Josh Show, presented by Milk for Health. I'm Dhane, he's Josh.
And on today's episode, we are bringing one of our good friends, Sabres defenseman and Buffalo's own, Dennis Gilbert. Let's get into it. All right, we're back, and time for our special guest. A guy who we've taken some money from in the past on the course. Buffalo's own, Dennis Gilbert. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's known you guys for a long time, so I think it's been a long time coming. Should be fun.
Yeah, no, of course. We'll try not to go too difficult and go too hard on you, but
No promises.
I told you we weren't going to talk about your golf game, but I feel like I just got to talk about it.
I'm just a better golfer than both of you. There's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you two might have a better
Klutch, I don't know. Klutch is a good player.
Klutch is
Yeah.
a good player. Yeah. He
Yeah.
takes his time.
Tough body, good golfer.
Yeah.
But he's working on it. He's working on it.
Yeah, no, exactly. He figures it out. He's already ready to go. This guy just got a simulator in his house, and
He needs it.
I don't know if it's helping his golf game or it's just hurting his back, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had a couple sleepovers with Klutch now.
Yeah, he's over all the time, just using it more than I do. So I'm going to have to charge the boys for pay it off a little bit. But how are things like with you right now? Obviously, what are you in the midpoint of your season to an extent, and how's the body feeling? How's the grind of the
Yeah,
NHL?
man, it's been a hard year. I think we have a lot of like really good talented players and pieces, and the league is just so competitive, and like those little 1% details make huge differences, and we've been learning that the hard way, which sucks. It's hard to do that, but at the same time, we're learning valuable lessons, and the core here that's going to be here is young, and it's going to be here for a long time, and the only way to know about those circumstances is to go through them.
Right.
So as someone who's been around in some other places, stuff that I already knew, but as a group, we're kind of learning how to go through it, which is not always enjoyable, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a great group of guys too. That's what makes it harder, because you want it's such a good group. Everybody cares about each other. The guys are super, super close. So you just want it. Everybody wants it to work, and everybody cares so much. So it can be a little frustrating at times. But that being said, having the right people is the hardest piece to get right. And
Right.
I think we have that. So
I feel like
should be turning here.
playing that many games in a season, you really can't take a night off. We don't really run into those issues. We have 18-game season, right? So
It still feels tough.
yeah, right. But you play.
You guys take a beating.
Yeah,
today.
yeah. You play a game and you win or you lose, and you have a whole week to kind of reset. Actually, we have a doubleheader coming up eventually. We have two actually, but for the most part, you guys will have a game. You can't even really think about that past game. You're thinking about the next one, and like you said, you have one bad shift or one bad play or one bad game per se. It's going to affect your season with that many games, and it's a little different than us to an extent.
Yeah, no, it's tough, right? I was talking, and you were on a bit of a road trip there while we were trying to set this up, and it's a completely different lifestyle, and it's got to be tough to be consistent for that many games, right?
Right.
For us to be good and to have put together a good year of 18 games and playoffs, right? You can go on a hot streak and be okay, but if you guys go on a hot streak of 10, 15 games, that's setting us up for playoffs. That doesn't really do much for you guys, right? So what's it like trying to find that consistency in the NHL? I
mean, it's you guys hit it nail on the head. There's so many games, and the league, I think it's the deepest league in of all the major sports. The best team in the NFL is not losing to the worst team in the NFL. It's just it's not happening. The point spreads and the gambling side of it is one thing, but
that's crazy.
You look at the 32nd team in the NHL, and the top team in the NHL, like if they have a game, like the winners, like the favorites, like minus like 190. Like it's literally like anybody can win any night.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many factors like the goaltending and there's just so much depth in the league. So it's tough, man. Like you can't look at a team or a game and be like, oh, like this should be easier than that one, or like that'll be harder. Like they're all hard. And as a team that's trying to like make up ground and like get in the playoffs, like you have to beat the teams that are like toward the bottom. Like you have to do that.
Yeah.
And then you have to try to get points against the teams that you're chasing.
Yeah.
But like you absolutely have to beat the bottom teams. But the hard thing can be sometimes is like the bottom teams are like legit like really good teams.
Yeah.
Like there's no like easy games, you know.
Yeah.
So it can be tough, but that's also like the best part of the league though. Like every building you go to is like full. It's fun. Like every team's got a couple of young stars or an older team with stars. Like even Pittsburgh's having like a down year. Like
it's crazy.
Like Crosby, Malkin, Letang, like legit Hall of Famers all over their lineup.
Right.
So it's awesome, but it's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
I listened to a few different podcasts. One in particular, a basketball one, and they talk about like their long season as well, and like not wanting to play the next game because you played like 4 in a row or whatever it may be, and you're just exhausted. But you're like, you almost have to find a way, because at the end of the day, like your job is a lot different than somebody else's job, and you got to be thankful for where you are because you get to play something you love. That being said, like I couldn't like. Sometimes like you wake up and you're just like, wow, like how am I going to do this and like play at a high level, because there's so many talented teams, players in the league, and like I don't know, I give you guys credit because that's tough, and I never really understood, because you guys will play game to game, and then the next day you'll be like shoot around or whatever it may be on the ice again. I'm like, do you guys ever get breaks? It's wild, your schedule and how it works.
It's literally crazy. Like we've had road trips this year. Like you go to like, you leave the hotel in the morning and you come back for like after your nap, after like pregame skate and stuff, and you're like, I don't even know what hotel room number I'm in, because I was in this is my 5th hotel room in like 8 days. So I don't even know what floor you're on. Literally I've had to go down to the front desk and be like, Dennis, Gilbert, like where am I? No idea where my card is, no idea what floor I'm on. Like where, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's tough. Like a lot of the travel too, like we're so lucky, like we fly like private, and like we stay in like Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, like we have it really good, but it's at the same time, like you go on these like road trips like we just had when we were in Seattle. After the game, fly right to Calgary. We're there for like a day and a half. Then you're playing against Edmonton. We played Van before them. Like it's just like 6 days you're in 4 cities and like 2 time zones, and like you just and you got a 4.5-hour flight home, 1 day practice, and like you have 3 games in 5 days at home. Like it's
just a blender.
There's just a lot going on.
And like
it's so tough on our families too. Like we're a pretty young team, so like not a lot of guys we have some guys that are married and stuff, and we have young kids, but like I've been on teams where guys have like there's like numerous guys with a couple kids, and like it's tough for like they're basically single moms too. Like we're gone for like in March, we're gone like I think 19 or 20 of like the 30 days in March. Yeah. Like it's insane.
Do they do like any like family trips or anything like that where they try to like, hey, bring
Not
on?
really. Like Spaceball does it where like the families travel.
Yeah.
I think the NFL does it. But like, hockey, we don't like to have like your family on the road with you. Like guys do it if it's like, you know, say like you're playing in your hometown and your wife wants to go back with the kids to watch you play in your hometown. But like, she's like getting a separate hotel at a separate hotel room at a separate hotel. I'm like not allowed to like stay with you or like fly with us. Like they have to totally coordinate that on their own. Yeah. So, but it doesn't really happen much.
That kind of reminds me. I mean, not necessarily that, but just like the grueling schedule. The closest that I can, you know, kind of is college for me. Yeah. It's college. Like, and it was like, you know, you're practicing every day, 2-3 hours a day. Getting in, you know, the weight room, doing whatever you can, and it's like some days your body just feels like it's deteriorating, and like to be able to do it at a high level, you know, it's insane. And obviously you guys have, you know, a ton of different things to be able to help with that and your recovery, nutrition, all that other fun stuff. But you know, back to, you know, because you went to Notre Dame, right?
Sick.
I was going to say.
It was so fun, man. I loved it. I wish I did my 4th year so bad.
Because you only played 3?
Yeah, I did. I signed after my junior year. I was like close enough to graduation. So we did like summer school and stuff.
Yeah.
where I like knew I would get it done. I only had like 5 classes left, and my mom was like, "You have to finish." So I ended up going back and finishing.
Yeah.
Like over the summers, but like, man, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like I did the 3 years, and it was the right decision to like sign and turn pro and everything.
Yeah.
But even like that first year, I was just like in the American League playing in like Rockford, Illinois at the time, like highest murder per capita in the U.S. Like you couldn't like go to like a restaurant or a bar because like you might get killed. Like it was like it's a tough city. The people are nice, but it's like it's a tough town, dude.
Yeah.
Walk.
So I'm sitting there like riding the bus to like Iowa and like playing Grand Rapids and Milwaukee, and my buddies are like beating like Penn State and going to like a bar and like having fun. It was like, damn, that would be like so cool to do that right now.
Life is easy then.
But it also like as a defenseman, especially like a lot of guys like Dolls and OP are like the exception to the rule here because they're like the elite of the elite, like first overall picks.
Right.
But like a lot of times you need guys to like develop, and defensemen take like historically have taken like a little bit longer to develop.
Big time.
Just because there's a lot more like forward's hard because forward like the pressure to score and produce is like a crazy hard thing to expect people to do. But there's a lot of responsibility I think for defensemen. Like you make a mistake, it's like a massive scoring chance, right? Like if forward makes a mistake, there's 4 guys behind him to kind of solve the pressure or whatever.
Yeah.
So like to have gone, like I knew I was gonna have to play a year, probably 2 or 3 in the American League before I even got a chance in the NHL. So I wanted to kind of start that process while I was okay. I've gotten everything I could out of college. Like I'm not being challenged as much in practice anymore. Like the games are pretty easy. Like it's time to kind of take that next step. But at the same time, it's tough to like say goodbye to like your classmates at college and be like, I'm gonna go grind it out in Rockford while you guys are like flying private and eating cookies on the plane and playing against like Michigan. Like that's sick.
Yeah.
We had so much fun when we were there because we had good teams too.
Yeah.
Walk us through, like, obviously growing up in Buffalo, like how you kind of started playing hockey, and then we're both definitely curious about like what other school offers you had, and was it always Notre Dame, or when did they kind of come into the picture? But start off with like kind of your minor, and then kind of move your way up.
Yeah, like I was kind of like the anomaly. I mean, you guys know, like everyone's in this day and age is like one sport, specialization, all this stuff. Like my family wasn't really big on that. Played football, played lacrosse, played hockey, like all through high school and stuff. So like I played Amherst, which is like a youth AAA team. It's like a town team. And then there's like private AAA teams here, like the Regals or Junior Sabres. Like, and you can go and do that, but it's like a full season. It goes like for 8 months straight. There's like 70 games. Like my parents wanted me to be able to like do other things, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I was like behind the 8 ball, but it was like I just wasn't like we weren't looking at it like that. You know, it was more like meet all the people you can, experience the different sports you like, and then you can pick something that you really like and you can try to pursue it, or you could just have fun and go to college to be a human being and get a job like regular people do.
Yeah.
It was never like my parents were like pushing me to like do anything. But when I was having some success, it was kind of like out of nowhere, man. Like I was literally playing for Amherst. Like we would like get pounded by the Regals, and then we hosted nationals because our rink hosted the tournament. So we got an automatic bid. So we were playing against like the best teams in the country, and at that 14, 16, 18 year age, like there's NHL like scouts at those things.
Yeah.
There's definitely college scouts, there's prep schools, but like there's NHL scouts at it.
Yeah.
So just from me playing those 3 games a year for like in front of all those eyes and like doing well against like these elite teams, like we'd lose like 7-1 but like I'd like have a goal and like play well. It's like this kid's kind of a stud, but like no one knows about him.
Right.
So then I had an offer from Niagara when I was like 15, and to me that was like
the biggest deal.
Insane. I was like, I'm gonna go to college for like free and play hockey. Like that's literally
sign me up.
I wasn't even thinking about like playing pro. Like to have just like going to school for free was like the coolest thing ever.
100%.
So when that happened, my dad was like, okay, like you're done playing lacrosse, you're done playing football, like you're not gonna blow your knee out on the turf and like lose this opportunity. So I'm watching football my junior year, and the guy that like I won the job in like summer ball, like in camp, and then I got offered like right before the season started. So my dad cut me from the team. He was the head coach. He's insane. I'm like, what do you mean I'm cut? Like no one gets cut, dude. He's like, you're cut. You're not playing. So I watched the team, and like the quarterback, he was a good athlete. Like I ended up playing Division I football, but he was like more of a tight end kind of guy. Like he wasn't like a great quarterback. to be honest. Like, whatever, good guy. Who cares? 10 years ago. So I'm watching the first 2 games, and like we win, and I'm like, this guy's like 7 for like 40. Like, I could definitely help. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'd be better.
Yeah.
But everyone probably thinks that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I convinced my dad to let me come out and play. So I ended up starting. You have to like practice for 2 weeks until you can be eligible. So I started like week 5 for the rest of the year. And Niagara was cool that they were like, yeah, go do it. That's awesome. Like, we love that you're playing other sports. Played lacrosse though in the spring. In my senior year, I actually had, like, I was committed to Niagara still. But I was graduating at 17. So I would have been a 17-year-old freshman in college, and they wanted me, or my parents were like, you should go play a year junior somewhere, just like, you're not, like, I would have been 20 as a senior. Like, it's kind of crazy.
Right.
And like, I just had grown, like, I was really scrawny, like, I was like 6'2", like a $190. Like, I wasn't like thick, like, I needed to kind of grow up a little bit.
Easy.
Yeah, this
You're
guy's
looking
this
at
guy's one.
well, yeah, you're looking at 2 guys.
I mean, you guys
Well,
got the bodies of like wet noodles. So going through that, then like I was playing lacrosse, and I had like some scholarship offers for lacrosse kind of come in out of nowhere. And I was like, it's kind of crazy. Like, it wasn't something that I took like crazy seriously. I just really enjoyed playing it, and like our teams were good and it was fun. So then I was kind of thinking like, okay, like, is Niagara like the best school I could go to? Nothing against Niagara. It was just like, is that the best I could do?
Right.
And the lacrosse thing really opened my eyes to, okay, like, there's some better like educational options. It may be something I should think about. So I always kept it in the back of my mind, and then I went and played that year a junior, and it kind of came in fast where I had like, the schools can't offer you scholarships because there's like rules about that in the NCAA and stuff. But my coach on the team was like, hey, just saying, but can't really tell you this, like, if you like decommit, like, you're gonna get like another offer like pretty fast. So it's something I like thought about for a little bit, ended up deciding to decommit, and like that day was crazy, dude. Like, decommitted in the morning. Me and the coach were like, he's like, I was like 17. The guy's like screaming at me on the phone. I'm like, dude, like,
listen, buddy.
Sorry.
Yeah,
like, I just, whatever.
Take a breath, pal.
I'm not ruling out coming to school there. I'm just like, I'm going to decommit and see what else I have out there.
Yeah.
So that was my first, like, you have to be like an adult conversation.
You have to understand it. Yeah.
And it went from like, instead of your parents talking to the coach, or like, it was like my first time dealing with that.
Yeah.
And like it was crazy. And then that night I had like 4 offers that night after the first game I played. And then the next couple months after, like, I had a list of like 30 schools I was trying to figure out.
Wow.
Talking to schools, trying to pick one I was going to go visit. And then Notre Dame was like my dream school growing up to play football at, because my family's Irish and whatever. Played football growing up. So when they came calling, like, it was really hard to say no.
Yeah.
But that was my first year living away from home. Like, I was with the Billet family out there. It was a lot of like growing up. And then again, to this day, like, still wasn't even thinking about pro hockey.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I should have been at that point, but wasn't even crossed my mind.
Right.
So I committed around Christmas, and then like January 1st hits, and like the NHL draft projections come out, and I'm like on the projection to go like in like the middle, 4th, 5th round maybe.
Yeah.
And then I'm like talking to teams about, like, I'm interviewing with teams, filling out surveys, like,
Right.
what's more important? Do you hate losing or love winning? Like, crazy question.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're like 18,
filling out
you're
these
like-
surveys every day. I'm like, well, that's the same thing. You know, like, you don't even know what the heck you're like answering. But
Yeah.
that process all started. Then I got invited to the combine, and it was just like, it was the craziest year of my life.
Yeah.
So I was by myself, picking like your college, which felt like this huge decision, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And then,
but at that moment, you're sitting there, you're like, man, this is a huge deal. It's like where you're supposed to go.
It feels like if you make the wrong decision, like, you could like change the like outcome of your life
Yes,
forever.
right.
Which
100%.
it could, I guess, but it
But
really isn't that big of a
no,
deal. Like, it's
no,
all
no.
the same kind
You
of crap.
everyone goes to different schools.
Nowadays,
and,
it's crazy.
and
'cause
figures
you
it
can
out.
people are just transferring left, right, and
Yeah,
center. Like,
yeah.
Dude, it's
like,
insane.
It's
Yeah,
wild.
it's nuts. It's
I
like
think
Wild Wild West.
it's. I don't know how you guys think about it, but
I'm not a huge fan.
I think it's brutal. I think it's teaching like zero discipline. Like there's guys that I played with that, like, their first year or two, like, they didn't play, and
Yeah.
they maybe didn't deserve to play, but they didn't play. And instead of like
Trying to
quitting
figure
and
it out.
transferring and easy way outing it, like I think this whole like new generation is just that's all it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is just another example of it. But like, there's guys that didn't play, and then by their junior, senior year were like important players in the team. And like, if you ask them about it now, like, learning that lesson of like sticking with it, working hard, not quitting, like being a part of the team still, being a good teammate, like, it's made them like better people.
Oh,
Big time.
100%.
And now it's just like, oh, I'm just going to transfer. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's crazy to me.
It's really tough, right? I think it's twofold, and I think for what you're talking about, yeah, I think you're dead on, right? Like for the actual morals that it teaches, and even just like being a part of like a family, like when you're in that college team, like it's like it really like it's like, man, I've been with this guy for 4 years. You know what I mean? And like that to me is something that you'll never be able to
Right.
get. But on the flip side of it, it's like some of these massive football schools that were just making millions and millions, even basketball, whatever it was, millions of dollars. And then like you hear about kids that, you know, tear their ACL their senior year, is supposed to be a top pick, and all of a sudden like they don't make $1,
over.
right? So it's like, it's so tough for me to be like, you know, it should be one way. I think they need to start to mold it a little bit better and figure out a better system.
Yeah, I feel like they just have like,
Like,
there's just no reins on it at
That's
all. Like,
that's
it's just
the
a
problem.
free for all.
That's the problem, where it's like, and exactly what you said. It's like, oh, I'm not playing. Well, I'm out. I'm gonna go make, you know, 500,000 over here or $1 million
Yeah.
here, and be like, well,
I mean, you can even see like there's a lot of like pretty impressive coaches. Like Saban's like, I'm done with this. It's the worst of time now. Like, I can't connect with this generation of kids anymore.
It's just too much. And like when I was looking at schools and stuff like that, obviously every coach is telling you what you want to hear. You're going to be starter, or no matter what. Or like some coaches were straight up and be like,
But they're telling
Yes.
every guy
exactly.
that they get to go there.
That's
It's
what
a
I mean.
sales- it's a sales
and, then,
pitch.
and then you go to pro.
What are they going to say? Oh, we see you as like a depth piece for us. You're like,
Yeah.
no, like you're not telling the kid.
100%.
I wouldn't do it either.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But then you go to pro, right, and you learn pretty quick. Like I was a top player coming out of junior. I got drafted early, yes, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna play offense in the NL for sure. Like, and then I was like, nope. Right to the back door, and my coach is like, "Oh, like if you're not
Wakey, bud.
yeah, exactly. And if you're not good on defense, he's like, you're going to the press box. You're not going on offense. So like, I had to figure out really quick. And like, like you said, like I feel like this generation is so much different. Like, and like I don't want to say soft by any means, but it's just like
You can say soft.
but like, but
You're
you
allowed to
have
say
to
so.
like learn to figure it out, like you said. Like, and I
100%,
feel like
dude.
like keeping those kids there for 4 years and figuring it out, like it goes a long way.
And I agree with what you said too, Josh. Like, there's definitely like a common ground. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not saying I'm all in on like them getting paid. Like, I'm fine with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, when I was at school, like we had like a thing called cost of attendance, which is like we got a little piece of the pie for us, but it was like maybe like $2,000 a semester.
Yeah.
So that helped you buy like Chipotle if you don't want to eat at dining hall, or like
Yeah.
buy like a case of beer with the boys on like a
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but it wasn't enough to like sustain you really. But we
100%.
grinded through. But like I worked in the summer. Like I was like a landscaper in the summer.
Yeah.
I would do it twice a week, so I could make a couple $100 to like have money to bring back to school with me, because my parents wanted me to like learn that.
And
process.
that was the best. I did the same thing where like I'd be sitting there, you know, cutting trees down with Mr. Brazel. Rest in peace, Mr. Brazel.
Shout out, Mr. Brazel.
He was a beast, but he was like 70 years old, climbing up trees, just like, and like, throw him the chainsaw. I'm like, all right, like let's do it.
Yeah.
But then like you get home, you know, throw you a couple $100 and you go out with the boys, and you're like, yeah, I don't. Drinks are on me tonight, guys.
Yeah, but
like,
it taught you something, you know.
you have to work for, you know, you have to work for your money, and you just have to work in general to be successful. And I think, you know, it's kind of tough to, you know, teach some of these kids that, especially when it's so easy to flip flop. But at the same time, man, like it's almost allowing your true character to show. Like even the Boise State running back.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
He's
Could've
like, yeah,
won
I'm gonna stay here. I want to win here.
Yeah, and
Like,
he's still gonna be one of the top
Right.
draft
Oh,
picks. He's still gonna make
100%,
money.
yeah.
He's gonna still do.
so you hope that like stories like that continue to shine and
Yeah.
continue
Yeah,
to,
I agree.
and continue to flourish, and you know, kids understand, and because it's tough, man. Like college is so important for, you know, shaping who you're gonna be as an adult. And like for me, you know, I went to 2 JUCOs. You know, wasn't the smartest guy, but you know, ended up at Hofstra, and you know, Seth Tierney ended up being like a father figure to me, and like taught me all those little details and about, you know, working hard, and you know, not everything's just handed to you and spoon fed to you.
Right.
So yeah, it's tough. But you know, circling back here, because I was trying to understand this, because a little bit different than lacrosse. You got drafted before you went to Notre Dame?
Yeah, so how it works is typically you can get drafted a second and third year if you don't get drafted the first year, but everyone's draft year is like based on just like when you were born.
Gotcha.
So I'm like a late 96 birth year. I'm after September of 96, so I hop in the 97 draft. That's just how they do it. They made the cut date, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
So like my
Does that
draft
benefit you?
a little bit, yeah, but like
Okay.
it was just because I have a late birthday. Like it kind of just comes out in the wash. So basically, you drafted when you're 18 or just about to turn 18.
Right.
And then if you go to school,
Yeah, so they hold your rights. So it's like I was in the McDavid and Eichel draft. McDavid was, if you're a play major junior, which is like one of the Canadian like semi-pro like leagues, or if you're a European kid, they hold your rights for 2 or 3 years based on which of those two you fall into. And then if you are Canadian or American, but you're going to play in college instead of playing like major junior, they hold it for 4 years. So it basically allows the team to have your rights until you're done. Like if you wanted to hold out, like there's guys that I've played with that have held out all 4 years and then they get to pick where they go.
Okay.
But it's a way for the teams to hold your rights, and they're a part of your development process. Like you go to like, they have like development camps in the summer. You can go to that. It's like a week or 2 week thing. Like you can talk with like their staff and they can watch film with you, and there's different ways they can kind of help develop you while you're with like your college team or whatever.
Right.
But it also gives them a window into like when they should sign. Like after my sophomore year, like Chicago wanted me to sign like really bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe, like, I don't know. I think that I could use one more year. I like to get closer degree wise, and I don't think it's going to hurt me to go back. So I ended up staying, but like they can be a part of that process with you. But there's some guys like Eichel, who was drafted here.
Right.
Like he played for a year. He knew he was going right away. Like he didn't even go to class. He's like, I'm just playing hockey at BU, and then I'm playing in the NHL.
Yeah.
But he's a freak.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it kind of works.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Before we take a break real quick, my last question to you is, what's your favorite story coming out of Notre Dame?
I'm trying to think of one that's like allowed to be told.
Or favorite memory, I guess.
I would say one of my favorite, like it was just kind of something we did, was like all out of our parents like to come out and watch us play.
Mm-hmm.
So like at least we typically like 2 Saturday home games a month.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to do it at least once a month or every other month, where instead of like having the hockey house party and like going to the bar and whatever, running around like an idiot, we'd have a big team party at the house with all the parents and like girlfriends or siblings, whoever was there. And it was always just so fun. Like you'd have the big bar and the speakers on it, and guys are playing games with their parents and hanging out, and we're playing like oldie music because like the parents like that music. And it made our team super tight because, you know, you'd be talking with somebody's dad and then somebody's brother, and it was just like a really tight family oriented like community we had there. So I always look back at those days and like there's like my dad still talks to like dads that were like on that team, and like the parents are still really close. Like it almost brings you back to like a youth team where like everyone was super tight.
Right.
So I loved those nights. They were the best.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back talking about some more of your pro career.
And we're back, and I just want to say thank you to one of our sponsors, Milk for Health. This unbelievable chocolate milk. Have a try if you like it, but
you're not lactose, are you?
Get it in you. Oh, absolutely not.
It's good for after games, good before games.
Recovery guy over here, eh?
But yeah, me?
Yeah.
Always recovery. The old body, gotta keep it in shape. But you talked about like you obviously been to a Bandits game. You played lacrosse. This is a question I was very curious about. If you got to say be like a player on our team or like your game, who'd you be like on our team?
Jeez, I mean, you guys are way too. you guys are like high end drama.
Are you trying to say you're more gritty than we are?
100%.
We got some gritty players on our team.
And I'm more like, I'm not like as you guys are very like needy. I feel like, and I'm sure your teammates would attest to this. I don't know. I think
here.
I mean, I got to go back to my guy. I think that, and I'd actually love for you guys to talk about it a bit. I think that Mickey's got like a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
Because just from my perspective, it didn't seem like he was supposed to be like an elite, like top player or whatever. And it seems like he kind of worked his way from being really good defensively, just from watching you guys play defensively, to becoming pretty good in transition. And then like low key pretty effective, like scoring wise. Like he could score.
Yeah.
So like the evolution of his role, like I'm not saying I'd be like him, but like I think I would have had a similar start path to where he was, like just trying to be like a jack of all trades type of guy. But he's like a super valuable piece of your guys' team. You guys want to talk about him and like his evolution, because he's a big part of what you guys are doing.
I talk about him a lot, so you can go ahead.
Yeah.
This guy's getting a lot of love right now.
Yeah,
I don't know if I like
know.
this,
We might have to
honestly.
bring Mickey in here.
You're standing behind that wall.
That or he's gonna ask to get paid for it. But
Pay the man. Pay the man.
But no, man, he's it has been really cool, and you honestly nailed it, right? Like he's a guy who, you know, and I think people knew that he was going to be good. But, you know, in college, playing field, he was elite offensively. Right. Like came to the field league as an offensive player, could shoot the ball from anywhere, very smart IQ wise. And I think when he got into the league with us in Buffalo, he was very good defensively.
Right.
And was decent offensively, but very good in transition.
Yeah.
But for what he wanted to be, he needed to improve, I think, like athletically. And he took that super seriously in the last few years. He's been, you know,
He's in the gym more than you two guys are.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that.
yeah. I mean, listen, don't
You guys
push it.
don't forget, I work out where you work out, so I
Don't
know
push it.
who's in, who's out. You're actually in there quite a bit.
Don't
there
push
a
it.
lot,
Don't push it. But but no, like he's taking care of his nutrition, right? He's in the gym all the time. And, you know, if we pulled up a side-by-side picture of his face from when he got drafted to now, like, you know,
Like somebody ate him.
You can say that about a lot of people like myself.
Yeah, you too.
So
You too. Definitely, right? But, like, I think that's helped him in the last few years.
Yeah,
and now,
yeah.
like, I think he's leading our team in goals, probably. Like,
Is he really right now?
He
Wow.
is. No, he is. He's
okay,
being humble.
he's
He doesn't
second.
want to tell
He's second,
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
in goals.
He's second to the U.
Either way, he's had 2 5-goal games, you know, and he's playing full-time offense, you know, for the first few games, and, you know, someone gets hurt. I think Kluch ended up getting hurt, and someone on our D end went out, and they needed him to come back on the D end. So he's like, okay, cool, I'll go
Right
play
there,
D.
picks it up, yeah.
Right? Scores 5 goals one game, and then next game he's going to play defense, right?
Yeah.
And he's not even flinching either, right? So I think that's incredibly valuable to have on a team is someone who can do both and can kind of slide in no matter where you need help with or you run into injuries all the time. So, yeah, shout out to Mickey. I didn't want to pump you up that much, but
He's getting jacked up. this episode
he's gonna
right
be
now,
all
dude.
fired up for sure.
Kind of, we want to kind of
First
talk a
time.
little bit about kind of the teams you've been on, and I don't want to say your suitcase by any means because you're in the NHL. And
Totally fair, Phil. You
yeah,
can call me a
but
suitcase. It is what
Chicago,
it is.
Colorado, Calgary. Now you end up in Buffalo. Before we get into the Buffalo thing, what was your favorite place to play between the other 3 teams?
I kind of like a crazy response out of me, but I loved Calgary.
Yeah, it's not crazy. You ever
no,
go to
it's
the
awesome.
Stampede?
Yeah, I went
I
my
went
first
twice.
after the first season out there. I
Yeah.
went for the Stampede for like 4 days. Just like and I did like Chicago. I had some family live there and some close friends and really big city. Patrick Kane being there, who's from here, like it was awesome.
Yeah.
Denver, great city as well in
Yeah.
Colorado, but Calgary, man, I loved it. It was just good people. Like it reminded me of here in a way. Like everyone cared about each other. It was a clean town. The fans were awesome, super passionate, but like they didn't bother you. People were rooting for you. Like it was just a lot of good people, and it's a cool city. Like good restaurants, stuff to do, and kept my girlfriend and I very busy throughout the off days and stuff. So yeah, I loved it out there.
Those are all cool spots
Dude,
that like I would love to like if I had to start
Yeah.
a career. Like
Yeah,
those are
I
all,
haven't
like,
been in I've been around a little bit, but I
Yeah.
haven't been in like tough spots.
Yeah,
Right,
I
right,
feel
right.
like I've been living in like Ottawa or something.
Right.
Respectfully to
Yeah.
Ottawa.
Capital.
Like, what was that like? Always the hope to come back to Buffalo eventually. Obviously, we just talked about those 3 places, and those are 3 places that
Sweet
we love
cities,
to
yeah.
travel
Yeah.
to. And yeah, was it always your hope?
I
to
mean,
come
I
back?
definitely like downplayed it a little bit, but 100%.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, like and whatever, people like make fun of me for it all the time, and I get it. Like it's totally fair. I love Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
Like I love it. I feel like there's a lot of people who have like pride for their hometown and stuff, and I'd always get made fun of for like over talking about it or this and that. Like when I was at school or playing other places, like, and I know it's not the most like glamorous place, and I get that, but to me, it's just the people here are so awesome, and
100%.
Feel so lucky to have grown up around that like city of good neighbors feel, and I have so many stories and examples of stuff like that. So to go elsewhere, and it's nothing against other places, but it's just not the same. So, yeah, I wanted to come back here really bad, and just as somebody like you guys know, like the season's long. Like I haven't been home for Thanksgiving in 10 years. Like Christmas, when I was in Calgary, I didn't come home because it's like 2 days off.
Doesn't even make
like our
sense.
schedule was so grueling. So missed a lot of family parties and birthdays, and I've missed some weddings. Like it's just there's stuff that you can do from being home more.
Yeah.
And it makes the season a bit less. Even just like going to my parents' house for like dinner on like a Wednesday. Like,
Right.
For my parents to come to Calgary, it was like 2-hour drive to Toronto, across the border, hop on a plane, 4.5-hour flight. Like it's hard on people.
Right.
And then you don't want to. You feel like almost selfish in a way, like because you like. I told my girlfriend last year, I'm like gonna pay for your flights because like I can't like fly to you. Like you have to come to me like every time we want to see each other. You have to come to me. Like
I can't.
I don't get like a weekend off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's different parts of the season or the playing that are tough, which you guys know. Like you go through the same things, but it's so all those things included. Like I definitely wanted to come back and play here. Like I just love being here.
Yeah.
I mean, you're lucky, man, because like, you know, it's funny, and we all like I had those kids in college that like they were talking about their hometown, like, no, this place is sick, blah blah blah, and you're like, oh yeah, but sure, whatever you say, right? And you know, when I first got drafted here, I was like, going to Buffalo, like what?
Come on,
like what is this? Like and I'm from Vancouver, and people in Vancouver be like, do they have like restaurants in Buffalo? Like, what, like, you know what I mean? Like, and people just have no idea what Buffalo's like. And I say you're lucky because you were able to grow up in this incredible city. And now for us, like, you know,
it's home for you guys now.
Exactly.
You know
what I mean? Like we both married Buffalo girls. You've married Canadian, so we've just basically flip-flopped. But it truly is a great city, man. And, you know, if you would have told me when I graduated high school in Vancouver that I would end up
settling down in
Buffalo,
New York, you'd have been like, no chance.
It's crazy. Like even like for myself, like when I first came to Buffalo, it was 2012, and it was rough then. Like and you can see it's come a long way downtown where the Harbor Center,
Canal Side,
all that stuff. And each year, like I caught myself, and I started living here in 2015, just during the season, and then 2016. I would live here, but I'd stay a little bit longer. And then I started like staying here in the summer, and then I was full time, and now I built a house here. And it's just like, it definitely grows on you. And like you said, like everyone knows everyone. It's a little community, and people like every Buffalo person's the same person. They leave or they don't leave, but whoever leaves, they come back. And it's amazing. And like to tell people that like Buffalo is actually like fun, and it's just similar to like how we feel for like Bandits games. People don't understand like lacrosse all too much in the indoor area, and Buffalo's caught on so quick. But like it's like come to a game and you'll love it. And it's the same thing with Buffalo, New York. It's like come to Buffalo, especially in the summer. I wouldn't recommend it in the winter, but there's still fun things to do. But in the summer, it's like a great time. There's so much to do.
Gonna kind of switch gears a little bit. Obviously, there's been a couple big trades in the sports world with you know the whole Luka and AD thing, just
insane
wildness happening. But you know what really stood out to me was like listening to not only like guys like LeBron had no idea, and like just like massive players.
He runs the league, dude.
Even like their coach, like kid, had no clue like what really went down. So, and I know you've been a part of a trade. So like, what is that like? You know, getting that phone call that you're getting traded, or did you have any inkling? Did you have a feel? Because like, dude, I bet you Luka didn't.
I had my story is like pretty nuts. It was during the pandemic, and you guys remember like that. The summer was weird, and then in the fall they were kind of like things were loosening up. Like they were like, you could be at a restaurant if it was like X amount of people, or you could congregate outside. Like people were still figuring out what the hell was like the right thing to do, I think.
Yeah.
So whatever. So like normally in the fall, like I'm never here. So Ellicottville was having Fall Fest, and that was like on. So like, can you go to that? It's outside, like whatever. So I ended up a bunch of my friends. I think your wife was actually there with us.
Yeah,
like
probably.
we had like a big Airbnb, a couple houses side by side. So everyone's kind of there hanging out, and I had like my phone connected to like the big JBL speaker.
Come on.
So I'm like, whatever. I'm having beers. Like I'm allowed to have beers. I was having some beers, and it's like 6:30, 7 o'clock. Like at this point, just played my second year in Chicago. Like my first year, I had a really, really good year in the minors. Like ended up getting my first game, and then my second year, like was pushing through to like be a full-time guy. I played like 25 games, played like 20 in the minors, but I was playing well when I was up, and I was like getting a chance to like do a lot. And I think I was like I thought I was a part of like what they were trying to do there.
Yeah.
But they had a bunch of young prospect D, and they ended up moving like 3 of us out over the course of like 5 months. So that was when I got traded. So I'm sitting there like with all my friends, like hanging out, Fall Fest,
Yeah.
another beer, whatever. And then it's get like the phone's buzzing. I'm like, oh, the music stopped. What the hell?
Yeah.
So the JBL was like, incoming call, like Stan Bowman, GM, Blackhawks. I'm like, this is like the worst news of all time.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of like buckled. Like I shouldn't even answer the phone, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I answer the phone. I'm like, hey, Stan, how's it going? And I was going to like tell him like, hey, just, like I've had a few beers. Like I can call you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Before I could even say it, he's just like, Dennis, we traded you to Colorado. Thanks for everything and wish you luck. Bang. Phone hangs up. That's it. I'm like, dude, what? Like, is somebody going to call me? Like,
Yeah.
head is spinning. Like, I had no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Give me another beer.
So I'm like telling my brother, my cousin's there. I'm like telling my buddies, I'm like, this is insane, dude. I'm getting phone calls then from like Denver area codes.
Yeah.
He didn't even tell me where I was getting traded. He just said, we traded you.
Yeah.
So I answered the phone. It's Joe Sakic, like one of the best players of all
Yeah,
time. He's
legend.
the GM of Colorado. Again, in my brain, I'm like, I should probably tell somebody that like had some pints, you know? I'm not loaded, but like whatever.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to have beers
Yeah.
on a Saturday.
100%.
So I answer the phone. It's like, hey, Dennis, Joe Sakic, how you doing? What are you up to? I'm like, hey, Joe, huge honor to meet you. Kind of in shock, super excited about Colorado. Just so you know, I've been like drinking today, so like, just so you know, kind of thing. And he was just like, dude, no worries. Like, have fun tonight. Shoot me a call tomorrow during the day. Our PR team, they're all going to reach out. Just tell them the same thing you told me. We'll figure it out tomorrow. Like, you're good. Enjoy your night.
Yeah.
We're really excited about having you. And kind of went from there. But it was crazy, dude.
That's
like,
crazy.
I was just like hanging out with like my buddies, like the most normal day ever, and then bang, entire life flipped upside down.
Right.
But that's sports, you know.
Yeah.
Like why we joke around, like we work nights, weekends, and holidays. You know, like the summers are great, but like during that 8 months, like it's a grind, dude. Like you're, and at the end of the day, like you're just a piece of property. Like you're an asset. You're like, there's no emotion in it. And I think that was the first time that I was able to kind of see it for what it was. And it's just a business, because you hear about it's just a business. But like when it actually happens to you the first time, I think you get a different appreciation for it.
Yeah.
So after having that happen, I was just like, damn, okay. Like it really is just like everyone's out for themselves, and that's just what it is, you know? And it's not like hard feelings, it just is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's insane.
Crazy story.
Ellicottville, eh? You
So
never
will you
know.
ever go back?
I actually haven't been back since. I actually got my couple of my friends, you know, Hannah and Phil. One of my friends had a birthday party there, and on Saturday we played Friday, Sunday. So in theory I could have went up there, but I was afraid I might get like traded or something. So I didn't end up going.
Smart move.
They didn't want to risk it.
Turn the JBL off too.
Yeah. Like, by the
Also, like the JBL, like that was outrageous. Like I'm sitting there
Crazy.
playing like
Everybody
cornhole,
can-
and it's just like Harlan's like,
So
your phone's
everybody
ringing.
knows.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then you just hear the sound. It's just GM,
Yeah,
Blackhawks,
that's-
Stan Bowman. I was just like, oh boy, does he know I'm having beers right now?
Well, I mean, listen. At the end of the day, I hope you enjoyed the rest of your night.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of did, but at the same time, I was just like, what the hell is going on? And then you're like, you guys know how it is. Like, and you're all anxious about like having to call these people the next day. So you're like, all right, I should probably buckle it down. Yeah. It was an eventful
at the time,
weekend.
did you see yourself being in a better fit to Colorado, or were you like, obviously you're pissed because Calgary and whatnot, but like, did you see your role like maybe a bit bigger in Colorado, like at the time when you first like?
It was like Colorado was like just like fundamentally like a way better team.
Yep.
So as someone who was trying to break in, I didn't really know how to feel. I thought it was like, damn, maybe it's going to be like harder to get in the lineup every night or be successful. But it's also like, if you do, your mindset goes from like, I want to get in the league to like, I want to win a Stanley Cup. Like your mindset could change then. And then it was just a crazy time though, man. Like I just had wrist surgery too to end the season. So I was coming off that, and I didn't know anybody out there. Like it was just like, it was a tough transition for me to go out there.
I mean, you probably got in your first game and tried to lay somebody out quick, or what?
Yeah, I legit fought a guy like my third game and broke my face. I was out for like 8 weeks. Like I played like 10 games that whole year. So it was like the shortened season, taxi squad. It's like they could carry more guys in the roster, but like you couldn't. So whatever. So I played a few games, broke my face. Doctor did a great job, obviously, as you guys can tell. And then was out for like 8 weeks. The season was only like 40-something or 50 games, but it was like really condensed. Like you were playing like 4 or 5 games a week. It was
You're
nuts,
acting like
dude.
50 games isn't a lot, which is crazy.
Well, I know, but like for us, 82 is like normal.
It's a big chop.
So they had like a 50-game schedule, but it was like crunched into like 4 months. Like it was just a ton. So I missed a bunch of time with that. Then I played a few games in the minors to like kind of get back up to speed. Then I was back with the Avalanche during the playoff run, and it was just a hectic year. Like I didn't even get to train really. Like I was lower body training, but I had my wrist reconstructed, so I was out for 4 months. Like I only had like 2 weeks of like full clearance before like our first practice.
Damn.
So I was just like on the shelf for a while. Like it was tough.
Yeah.
I was young, and it's just whatever.
When did like, I mean, obviously, like, you know, we've seen a bunch of fights that you've been in, but also like you're just naturally physical. Like when did that, you know, start coming into your game? Like, were you 10 and just running kids, or what's the deal?
I mean, I was like I was undersized like growing up.
Yeah.
Like always with one of the smaller guys on my team, and then I played up like a age group for most of hockey. So like I was definitely way smaller. And then when I got to high school, I grew like a foot over the course of like those couple of years. And then once I got bigger, I think I was always a aggressive, like I stopped playing baseball because I was like, this is no contact. You know what I mean? So I guess to an extent, yes. But as I got bigger, and then I think it's just a natural progression. Like you guys talk about like your guys' roles in for the Bandits and like Mickey and all that stuff. Like you just kind of, as you go through your career, I think things just change. Like I went, like everyone that goes to play college hockey played like on the power play when they were a kid. But there's only one power play unit on the college team. So like 15 guys aren't in the power play anymore. So as your role changes, you can do one of two things, in my opinion. You can either adjust your role and grow into and practice new skills to be better at different things that can help, or you can just be frustrated and then you fizzle and you're done. So for me, I took my opportunity at Notre Dame as like, okay, I'm now like our most relied upon like defensive defenseman. So I'm playing against everyone's top lines. I'm penalty killing a ton. I still was on the second power play my freshman and sophomore year, but it was like my role was changing. And then I was like, okay, when I got to pro, same thing. Like I turned pro, I was 6'3", 220. I put on like 40 pounds in college, like got strong. Like I was so weak, got strong, got fit, was like a dominant force at that level. And then I get to pro and I'm like, okay, the Blackhawks don't really have anybody that's like crazy physical, and they don't have like anybody that really fights. So like, am I just going to be a fighter? No, but if I can add that into my repertoire of things I can do, like I tell kids this all the time, man, like you want to be able to do like as many things well as possible, because it makes you a more attractive piece to like keep around. So like
100%.
Big time.
If it gets down to me or you to make the team out of camp, and we're the exact same player, exact same skill set, shoot the same way, everything, but I'll fight and you are afraid to fight, like I'll making it over you. Just because that one thing, or it could be like shot blocking, whatever it is, like
100%. Or just like forechecking hard, like
man, like you can put it in any sport, any scenario. Like 100%. At the end of the day, if it comes down to it with somebody that you're competing against, if you're close with them, whichever guy can add that extra little bit to them gets the opportunity.
Because and sorry to cut you off.
Oh, you're good.
But like we're seeing it when we coach the younger kids. Like everybody wants to be a goal scorer. Everybody wants to freaking be an offensive player and all that stuff. And like we try to teach them. It's hard because we were the same way as kids. We wanted to be the goal scorers. But like you see it at our level, right? Everybody still wants to be the goal scorers. They still want to be this stuff. But like again, like when I came in the league, I wanted to be a goal scorer, and I was like, no, you're playing defense. And like I'm thankful that my coaches in junior were like, hey, like, you probably won't play offense right away. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, whatever.
I'm nasty.
And they're like, what, we're going to put you on defense as well, like play both ways kind of thing. So I'm so thankful that they put me in that opportunity. And we try to teach the kids that we coach, like, hey, like, we're putting you in the best positions to be successful, and you want to learn to play defense. You don't want to be just an offensive guy, because when you go to the college, whenever you go to pro, whatever it may be, that next step, like, so many people are the same, and you want to be a little bit different, like you said.
And you even like relating it back to lacrosse, like you find that at the junior ages, all these kids have really good sticks. They're pretty decently athletic, and they can shoot the piss out of the ball. Right?
That's all they do is shoot ball. Yeah.
But now, like, there's not really a lot of guys who like are good at setting picks or finding space or off ball guys. Where like if you look at our team right now and why we're so successful. Like we have a bunch of guys that can do everything at a high level. We probably stay in the middle a little bit more.
But they also accept their role to be successful.
Exactly.
And that's a big ego
huge.
thing, and that's hard to do.
It's massive.
It really is.
And you look at a guy like Bucky for us, right? Like so underrated of how good he is at just loose balls, just picking up loose balls. Like and you talk about it all the time when you're younger, but it's like no. He gets possessions for you, and it's what wins championships.
Right.
And like hitting gaps, just being smart, and like knowing when to hit a guy, when to pick a guy, and when to slip it and go to the net. Like all those little things, if you can learn those other parts of your game and still be good at everything else, like exactly what you said, you're going to have a higher opportunity of making the team because they might need you in a different role. Same thing with Mickey, right? Why he's been so successful. He can go play D. He can, go play O. He can take face-offs if we need him to. He's on ball team, right? There's all these different things that he's able to do.
Face.
He does have a punchable face because I don't know if you saw it, but he suckered somebody into. He was like, "Oh, you want to go?" And the guy went to drop his stuff, and he just turned around.
And that's a penalty in our league all of a sudden.
And they gave a penalty to the other guy.
I don't even know. Like, I don't know why that's a penalty. I don't know why.
I'll have to talk to him about that.
Yeah. It's a pretty gutty move, but we got a power play out of it, so I guess we'll take advantage of it where we can. I guess my last question for you. So he talked about obviously, adding that fighting to your game a little bit. Was there ever a game where you were going into it being like, I'm probably going to have to fight this game, and if I am, it's going to be this guy?
Yeah, I think it definitely happens.
You get nervous?
That I wouldn't even say it's nervous. It's something that you just like learn to deal with just over time. Like you figure out how to go through it. Like just to be totally honest with you guys, like when I was younger, like it doesn't, you're not scared, but like it consumes your mind. Like it's all you think about. Like you can't sleep the night before. You can't sleep at nap. You think about it during your meal. You think about it in a morning skate. And that's whatever. That's natural, I guess, in some ways. But the more you do it, I think you get a little more comfortable being uncomfortable with it. But yeah, there's definitely situations, I mean, where I've gone into the game like knowing that was going to happen. Yeah. Definitely happens.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah. And I have one more question myself, and you can answer this however you want, but like obviously you make it to the NHL, and you obviously had some idols growing up and stuff like that. Like who was one guy that you got to play against or with, I guess, in the NHL? That was like an idol of yours.
Yeah, I think just
Joe Sakic's call is pretty sick.
Insane.
Yeah, dude.
That's the guy that's the guy that I looked up to when I was younger.
I would say, just because I'm from here, like Patrick Kane was like every kid wanted to be Patrick Kane. Like he played for Team USA in the World Juniors. Like got drafted first overall. Was like on the Blackhawks, won Stanley Cups. Like he was the guy that everybody around here, like in our age parameter, like wanted to be like him.
Right.
So getting drafted by them and like having him like text me after, I was like, Patrick Kane just texted me. That's crazy. And then signing and like getting to meet him at training camp and then be his teammate and like all that stuff like with him was really cool just because legit idolized the guy growing up and like we're like nothing alike in like the style we play or anything, but just to be able to have said like I played with that guy like you know I assisted on one of his goals or like that stuff's really cool to me.
100%.
And he's like an awesome guy too, like really quiet, doesn't really do much in the public eye. But I know he's had like a bit of a jaded whatever, but just as somebody that since I've met him, like one of the most generous and good, decent people that I've ever met. Like just an awesome guy. Can't say enough good things about him.
Yeah, and he was just absolutely filthy.
Disgusting.
His handles,
still is
everything.
so
You're just
nasty.
like, dude.
He's a little old now and getting gray, but he's
Yeah.
still like just a freak, dude.
Yeah, unreal. The heartbreak Sally.
Oh yeah,
will always get me. You got asked this question, and you wanted to give it to him. You're trying to put him on the spot. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
What do you got?
So like
Favorite restaurant?
So favorite restaurant would be one.
If someone was coming to town into Buffalo, right? And you could only bring them to one thing. Well, where would you bring them?
Ooh, that's good.
Any event, could be food, could be.
Yeah, I mean, there's there's tons of good food here. I think, and it's just I don't, for whatever reason, people are like, come to Buffalo Chop House, and then go home. It's like that would be a lot more to offer than that.
Right.
Yeah.
That was me. I freaking went to the Cheesecake Factory thinking it was the best place in the world. And then I finally ventured off. I'm like,
relax.
oh, it still is
Relax.
amazing.
It is good.
Cheesecake's my
like,
pregame,
Now I
right?
venture off to actually no restaurants, like little diners,
Shameless
like all that
plug.
stuff. So,
So growing up in Waynesville, kind of a newer spot there is Devolio.
Okay.
It's like a kind of the whole menu's like customization of like you can do custom pasta, custom salad, sandwich, like great spot to get lunch. Like I love eating there. And then dinner wise, there's a bunch of places I like. If I had to pick one, I would either say Lombardo on Hurdle, where I live, really fancy place, food's unreal, or Hutch's probably. I love going to Hutch's too.
I'm a big fan of Hutch's too.
Yeah, Hutch's is sick.
Yeah.
and then activity.
I mean, you got to say like a Bills game, right?
Yeah.
Like I brought a bunch of the guys that we went to the playoff game against the Broncos.
Yeah.
And we went to the game. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but we went to the game at the beginning of the year. And I'm not going to say who it was. Somebody set up a tailgate for us. It was very nice. It was very proper. It was professionally done.
Yeah.
There was nobody within like 100 yards of us. We were like in the middle of this massive parking lot. There's no one near us.
Yeah.
And all the guys were like, oh, we thought like Bills Mafia, whatever. And see like a table break,
like
stuff like that.
Right.
So whatever, like 10 of us or so decided to go to the game against the Broncos. So I was like, I'll take care of like where we're gonna go.
Yeah.
So we ended up going to with a bunch of like our friends to the O'Neill lot.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah.
And as we got off the bus and like it's like the gravel road and like there's
Gritty.
all kinds of stuff going on and
Buffalo.
people and the guys were like, okay, this is way more what we thought we were getting into. So we had like all those guys had like the best time. They're like, we're going to O'Neill like every time we go to a game the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Whatever. So long story short, I would say something like that where you can feel like the community and the passion everyone has. That'd be pretty cool. And those guys all loved it, so I think it went over pretty well.
Yeah, we were just at the Baltimore game, and it was a lot of fun.
That was amazing.
Our Mickey.
Yeah.
He was
Great guy.
he was in one.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Can't handle his alcohol.
It was hilarious. We ended up in a suite, and I'm gonna tell a story because it's funny. We ended up in a suite, and he's just hammering on the glass, just like it was like
Rightfully so.
and
but like,
end of the fourth, and we were like they're like, get everyone rowdy, and he's just like yeah. And the security guard comes up and kind of taps on the glass. He's like, hey, cut it out, and
because he was gonna probably go through the glass.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's not made for that.
Right.
Mickey-
They can't hear him from
keeping
the
the-
glass.
It's keeping the heat
Yeah.
in. Dude.
Go outside if you want to make noise.
But Mickey looks at the guy and goes, oh, sorry.
Yeah. So it's like.
And it's like barely tapping on the glass, man. It was hilarious. But listen, if I agree with you, there's Bills games are a ton of fun.
Electric. Dude.
Your
Your guys' games are a ton of fun too. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys have been to any of our games and stuff. Mickey actually, because you guys are too big time to answer texts when it gets like crunch time, but Mickey's got me some tickets for playoff games before.
Weird. My text line's real dry from you lately.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I can't take any money off your golfing right now. That's why.
You got to deal with our producer Kurt. He'll hook you up one of these days.
Yeah.
So
He's our
anyway, Mickey,
agent.
great guy, friend of mine.
Yeah.
Also a friend of you guys, but friend of mine. He got me tickets, man. Your guys' games are sick, dude. Like, it's crazy. I went to one in Calgary because they have like a team there. And it was fine. It's like kind of like the same idea, but the Bandits games are electric, dude. Like, I couldn't believe it. It was a playoff game. I'm with my cousin. I was sitting next to Mickey's dad and his girlfriend, and we're getting in there, and like the place is just packed, like so sick. And then like, the music's playing and people are scoring. And it's just like a big like party, man.
Yeah.
It's like
You
everyone's
don't even
just
know what's going on.
you can literally go there and not even like watch the field and just be like, this is awesome. Like having a great time.
You're just
People
chanting
watching,
random
like,
things.
music going on.
High five.
like-
And there's like beach balls flying around and foam fingers hitting the head. It's just like, I'm like, this is unreal. And it reminded me a lot of like growing up, going to Sabres games like back in like the 04 to like 09, like that era of the teams. Like, dude, it was so fun. Like going to we'd get like dress down days at school when they were in the playoffs. If they canceled school one day, they were playing like Game 7 on a Friday. We had like school off on Friday.
That's amazing.
It's
kind of
against
like
like Carolina.
nowadays,
Yeah. It's just insane. Like, and going to that was like the first time I've been in the building. Like, I didn't really go to games much when I was like high school or college. Like, I wasn't living here anymore.
Right.
So like going to that your guys' game a couple years ago, I was just like, reminds me of like back when like the Sabres used to be unreal with like Thomas Vanek and Derek Roy and Danny Briere, all these guys. Like, because I remember like going to like they came back and beat the Rangers in the playoffs, like down 1-0, score with like 7 seconds left, and then Finnegan won it in OT. Like, that's how the building felt. Like, it was just alive. Like,
just rocking.
You've seen these like party in the plazas in the playoffs, where like the Leafs had like a huge watch party outside their stadium, like whatever all the teams do. Like, that started here. Like, people. There wasn't even a screen outside. People were just like, were so pumped about the Sabres playing, they just would stand outside the building. That's how crazy it was back in the day. And then they put the screen out, and now it's like this big charade that every team does. But like, that started here because like people are just so crazy about
That's
their
Buffalo,
sports, bro.
man.
I know.
That's
It's actually insane.
It's
Can you imagine?
Buffalo.
You're not even watching the game. You're just standing outside of the building.
I
Like,
couldn't
it's
imagine.
ridiculous.
Not in Buffalo, New York, at least.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that's all the time we got today, man. We appreciate you stopping by. Obviously, you know, Buffalo's lucky to have you home, and you know, proud to call you a friend. But you know, just wait. This summer, I'm coming for your money, man.
we'll see, bud. We'll see.
I'll take you on an 18. We'll take you to Cloverbank.
You gotta play his 30 handicap. Though.
Yeah.
Like, give him a bunch of strokes.
I
but-
know. You guys got to figure out your handicap.
Yeah,
before we
no,
do
we'll
anything
figure
else.
it out.
Yeah.
But also, before we leave, our trainer was saying that you need a lacrosse stick.
I'm owed one of these.
Yeah, I don't know how we owe you that, but you can't
Mickey
afford
asked me for
one.
a stick. I was like, sure. And I was like, can I get one? He goes, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean, bro?
Classic.
Here you go, Teddy.
This
He's
is
the man.
huge,
He'll
bro. Nasty.
doctored it up for you and everything. So hopefully there won't be any goals in it, but
I'm going to bring it to the rink so when you guys finish your shoot around, I can go out there and
There
whip
you
a few
go.
pills around.
Perfect.
Sweet.
awesome. So
Good
thanks.
stuff.
Yeah,
Thanks, boys.
appreciate you coming on, man. Big time.
Hell yeah.
That will do it for this episode of the Dhane and Josh Show.
Be sure to follow the Bandits on social media, like and subscribe to us on YouTube, and listen wherever you guys get your podcasts. Big thank you to our sponsors, Milk for Health, and thank you to everyone who watched. We'll see you guys next episode.